Hello and welcome to the Gorgeous Goddess YouTube channel. So the topic that this video is about is the difference between desire and attachment. So why is there a difference, and why is it important? Well, it is important to understand the difference between desire and attachment, because desire actually manifests and creates things in your life, and attachment just stifles your energy and destroys things in your life. So it is really important to understand what the difference is. And why might you mistake your desire and your attachment? Well, because both of those feelings and sensations, they both say I want. So you're experiencing a wanting or something that you want to happen, and that can be a desire or it can be an attachment. So how does desire work? Well, the way desire works is you have got this stream of energy that's flowing into you that you can manifest with. You are connected to source or God or higher self, whatever concept you identify with, and you're receiving this stream of energy. And when you focus on a desire, the focus of your attention is directing that stream of energy into that desire, and then that energy takes on that desire and it goes out into the world and manifests your desire. So when you are focusing and experiencing a desire, you are directing the stream of energy that manifests, and you're able to, maybe a few weeks after you hold that desire, go, oh, look at that thing that I was desiring, it just gracefully came to me. Here it is in such an unexpected way, and it's really quite beautiful and pleasing. Attachment, on the other hand, it's a wanting as well. It's something that you want to happen, but it doesn't feel so lovely and graceful, because attachment is actually your reaction to something quite painful. So you've experienced some painful emotion, and then to stop experiencing that painful emotion, you've decided that a certain external experience out there in the world is going to be the medicine or the solution to this painful emotion. So now you set it up as an intention and a goal to achieve this external scenario, or to achieve this external experience, and you work towards that goal, and you really, really want this to happen, and you are attached to it happening. You cannot imagine and you cannot allow for that not to happen. And the reason you cannot is because if you consider that this might not happen, then it puts you back into that original hurt. So let's say that you have the experience of being unloved and lonely, and so you create an intention of being in a relationship, and you focus all your energy on being in a relationship, and you do things to be in a relationship. You sign up to online dating, and every person that you meet, you really want to turn that into a relationship, because what's driving that is that inner feeling of being unloved and lonely. And while you're not achieving the relationship, you're being plonked back into that feeling. So really, the idea of not being in a relationship is not okay with you. So this is what makes this something that could be a desire, the desire to be in a relationship, how that becomes an attachment. Okay, and because the attachment is always born out of some inner pain, it's like that when you hold your attention on that intention, it's not pure, because mixed in with this desire for a relationship is this underlying feeling of loneliness. It's like these two get energetically linked. It's like, I want a relationship. Yes, please, a relationship for me is just so inexplicitly linked to I am lonely, or I'm not good enough, or I'm unlovable, that when you're actually trying to manifest this relationship through this attachment, you are also actually simultaneously continuing to manifest I am lonely and I am unlovable. So that's why attachments stifle your creativity and your ability to create, because they're linked to these painful emotions. But also because we do have an attachment, our mind gets very much invested into how this is going to happen. And what we do is, let's say that something promising does happen in a particular area. When something looks like it's opening up, what happens then is when we've got an attachment to it, like let's say you've had a date and it went really well. So now it's like, oh my God, this is really happening. And if you have an attachment to being in a relationship, then this is it. This is going to be the one. You're not open to the possibility of, actually, it's not this one. It's actually the third person you're going to date. You want it to happen right now, because when there's a little bit of forward progress, it's like your ego wants to defend it. It goes, right, I'm this many steps towards the goal. I cannot give this up. So what we actually do when we have a really strong attachment is we start defending any little bit of progress. And what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is actually how manifestation and creation happens, is it's a flow, right? And it's a flow, and sometimes that flow kind of readjusts. So it's a flow of, as you, like, let's say you're manifesting a relationship, you go on a date with somebody, and hey, that's something, but really that's just the beginning. That's just like your energy is just gearing up. And what you're meant to do is you're meant to increase that flow. You're meant to take the good feeling of the date and strengthen your desire and allow the next bit of flow. Maybe the next bit of flow is going to direct you to an even better person, and maybe as you meet that even better person that's more closely aligned with somebody that you can have a relationship with, your feelings get even better, and the amount of energy that flows into this situation gets even better, and you can strengthen your desire again. You can reinforce it, and then it flows. Also, the other thing behind this flow is that really, even though the divine is kind of is flowing energy in, it can't, like, nobody can just say, click your fingers, that person or this situation is exactly how it's going to line up. See, the energy helps everything flow in a certain direction, but all the people that are involved in your situation, they've got free will. And sometimes, even though the energy is right, like let's say you go on a date with one person, and energetically that person is the right person for you and you're the right person for them, but for them to actually get into a relationship with you, they need to let go of something, or they need to trust. And maybe even though energetically that person was brought to you, when push came to shove and when it was the moment of truth, that person maybe didn't let go of something to be able to get into that relationship with you. So what Spirit does is immediately Spirit goes, great, let's move on next, right? Next, because that person energetically was right, the energy in them and the energy in you was right, but their free will got in the way, or some kind of limit, their stuff got in the way. So Spirit just moves on and goes next, or it adjusts. Whereas when we've got an attachment, we don't want to let that flow. We don't want to say, hey, it's like, well, this is the right one. I want it to be this way. And we don't have any faith that actually the next thing is going to be even better, or the next thing is going to be even more aligned. Because when we're attached, and when we're attached, that attachment was born out of something painful, something that we're very afraid of. So if let's say we're on that date, and the idea of that person not being the right one when they look so right puts us into fear that we're never going to meet somebody, because it puts us back into that experience. Because that experience of I'm lonely or I'm unlovable, it's always trying to kind of express itself, and it's always trying to sneak into your mind, right? So as soon as you need to let something go in life, this experience comes back. So your instinct might be, well, I'm not going to let this go because I don't want to go back to this pain that I've experienced. So this is kind of the dynamic in attachment, and that's it explained in dating, because it's a really easy way to understand it. But really, It can be with anything that you want. You can be attached to anything. You can be attached to a job or to financial security, or you can be attached to, you know, your image, or there's a lot of things you can be attached to, right? And what do you do about it? How do you turn an attachment into a desire? So unfortunately, there's not really, like, you can't just click your fingers and create desire. You do need to go back and look at the pain that created the attachment. So look, there are ways to dissolve pain in your being. There are a lot of ways you can do energy work. There's a lot of spiritual tools for looking at it. But, you know, if you didn't do that, what can you do? How do you even identify it? So if you want to identify what's at the source of your attachment, just do a simple kind of like a mind experiment. So take the thing that you're attached to and play out a scenario in your mind where that situation goes really badly. Like, play out the opposite of what it is that you feel like you're attached to, and use your imagination. Imagine it all going into the opposite of what it is that you want, and then see what you experience. What pain is there? What feelings are there? So maybe if we go back to that dating scenario, like, let's say that you've been on a date and you realize that you're attached to this going a certain way. So imagine the worst case scenario. That person calls you up and says, you know what, I really never want to see you again. And play that out in your mind, and what do you feel? Do you feel like you're never going to meet the right person? Or do you feel like, I knew it, I'm just not lovable? So you see, what are the things that, what's the hurt that you're trying to avoid by holding on to this desire? Well, I won't call it a desire because I'm trying to differentiate here, but what are the things that you're trying to avoid by holding on so tightly to what it is you intend to happen? And then you can, honestly, if you allow that pain if you allow yourself to experience that pain long enough, it actually can dissipate. There are lots of other ways to dissolve pain without having to face it in this really intense way. But ultimately, that is what you need to do, in that somehow you need to actually feel it and bring in consciousness to it, and then either allow it to dissolve just by experiencing it, or using some other spiritual technique, which I'm sure we'll do other videos on to help you out. So if you are able to clear that pain, you might find that you're no longer attached to that happening, because there's no problem that you need to solve. If you let go of the energy that you're lonely, or that you're never going to meet somebody, or that you're unlovable, then it doesn't seem so urgent that you be in a relationship. However, you can hold this pure, beautiful desire from this basis of nothing, from this basis of everything's okay, from a standpoint of I'm okay, from a standpoint of all is well. You can hold this desire, and this desire will manifest pretty quickly, so you don't need to worry about it. So anyway, I hope you found that useful, and again, if there's something you particularly liked, or if something you didn't understand or disagree with, please put down a comment, and maybe I can do a follow-up video if you like. Thanks.